fear of growth leads to suffering. This is one of the things that I talk to many of my clients about over and over again, because it's something that we do to avoid our pain. We perpetuate our own suffering by not being willing to be with our pain and learn from it. So for me, a couple years ago, I went through a very depressing period of time. I went through a very big breakup and fell into a deep depression. And I had a moment of feeling like the depression was starting to lighten by just a little bit. And I woke up the next day and it was so much worse than it had been. And I didn't even think that it was possible for it to feel worse. And I essentially came to a point of feeling like I don't want to live anymore, but being unwilling to take my life. And through that experience, this like deep opening occurred where I really surrendered to my experience. I really felt like I had no choice. And this was not something that came through my mind. I wasn't recognizing that, I needed to, it wasn't this intellectual realization that I needed to stop doing what I was doing. I was fighting myself and fighting my own experience. It was this deep recognition that my pain was communicating something with me, and I was finally unwilling to resist it anymore because I kind of had no energy to. I was so depressed that the energy that I had used for so many years to fight my own experience, to fight the pain, to fight me actually feeling and seeing the parts of myself that were really uncomfortable, I didn't really have the energy for that anymore. And so it all just began to come up. And I loved myself through it. I just connected to my intuition and felt like I needed to just hold myself and mother myself and love myself through all the pain. And I began to learn so much about myself based on what was coming up for me. And there was a lot. Over the years, there's been so much emotion that's come through that's taught me incredible things about myself. If I was unwilling to face any of these feelings, I would not be who I am now. I wouldn't be doing the work that I am doing. I wouldn't be as clear as I am. Through paying attention to the pain, the grief that was coming through, the anger, the rage, the memories, all of the experiences in my life, I started to recognize that I had been abandoning myself since I was very young, because the way that I felt, and this is true for a lot of empaths or, sensitive people, for me, the world around me didn't really reflect the way that I felt. It didn't reflect the way that I felt the world worked. I didn't really have the kind of spiritual connection that I felt reflected in the world around me. And so I started to sort of feel crazy. I felt like, okay, the intellect is very highly revered in our culture, and so I need to just be smart and not feel as much. And for me, I felt very, very, very deeply, and so oftentimes that would come out when I was younger as like really intense anger and really intense sadness. And I didn't really feel like anybody around me fully understood what I was experiencing or how I felt, so I felt very, very alone. And to combat that feeling of loneliness, I just wanted to feel connected to people. I wanted to feel like I belonged. And so unconsciously, just as a coping mechanism, I started to hide the parts of myself that didn't really feel like they fit in. And I started to emulate some of the qualities that I saw around me that were getting people, liked. And I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be welcomed. And I wanted to feel like I belonged. And so bit by bit that happened along the way, for many, many, many years, until suddenly I was somebody that wasn't really a deep reflection of myself. And that creates intense heartbreak. We can break our own hearts moment to moment every single time we choose not to be who it is we really are. And a couple of years ago when I went through that experience, I realized I don't even know who I am. I don't know how I became this person. I'm not happy. I know that. I don't really feel connected to my soul. I don't really know why I'm here. I feel that there's something within me that wants to come out, but I don't really know what it is. And there was a lot of fear over the years that was blocking me from getting connected to it. I was afraid of losing partnership. I was afraid of losing friends. I was afraid of, not fitting in, and maybe that I was crazy. The more I aligned with my fear, the further away I got from myself, my true self. And the more I created suffering for myself. We are here to live according to our souls. And most of us are living according to our minds, and our minds are living according to what the world around us says we should be doing. And we do this for, pretty good reasons. We want to feel connected, we want to feel a sense of purpose, and we want to feel like we're part of something. We're in community, we're not alone. But we end up sacrificing something really important, and that is our connection to the deepest part of ourselves and why it is we are actually here. So for many of us, we feel this deep discontent. We're not really sure why. And oftentimes it's because there's a lot that's been repressed that we haven't been really willing to face. And it's really hard to face our pain. It's really hard, especially because most of us do not have the tools to learn from, understand, and process our pain. Many of us have really big feelings and really strong desires, and we may not fully understand what they are. And that lack of clarity can feel overwhelming, and it can feel really scary. And so for a lot of us, when we have really big desires and this really loud soul, it can be terrifying to begin to face it because we don't know what it's going to ask of us. For some of us, it's going to ask us to leave the safety net that we've become accustomed to. Again, that's going to be really scary. And for some of us, it's going to mean we need to be seen in ways we haven't been seen before. And again, that's going to be really scary. And for some of us, it's going to mean that we need to speak louder, to be heard, and to get clear on what it is we're here to speak about, what it is we're here to share with the world, what we need to express. The irony is that when we're unwilling to face that truth, we create more suffering for ourselves. So we end up being in more pain than we even are when we're repressing it. In my experience, having processed an immense amount of pain, it feels better to be with the pain and to feel productive in expressing that pain and learning from it, and then coming out the other side, knowing more about myself, feeling more connected to my soul. That feels so much better than just being stuck. Because when you're stuck, you lack clarity and you lack movement, obviously because you're stuck. But you're in a place where you're actually kind of sitting in your pain, maybe without fully feeling it, but it's all still living in your body. So that creates a huge sense of discomfort. So every moment you have a choice. And when you begin to wake up, even if it's only a small portion of yourself, to the fact that there's something bigger in store for you, that you're here for some other reason than maybe you're living, that there's something that you need to be expressing and sharing and giving to the world, that are people that you're here to be in service to. When you start to recognize that you're not living in alignment with your soul, it's up to you to decide how you want to move forward. And for many of us, once we begin to see the truth, it's really hard to turn our backs on that. So I want you to remember that every moment you have a choice. You have a choice to face the truth. You have a choice to learn about yourself. You have a choice to align with your soul and live the life that you're here to live. And I would add to that we all need you. We all need each person's unique expression in the world. And remember, fear of growth leads to suffering. And I pray for you that you do not create any more suffering for yourself. There's enough of it already in the world. So as always, I'm really grateful to have you here with me. If this video resonated with you in any way, I would love it if you hit that little like button and subscribe to my channel. Hope to see you next time.